It is Wednesday, my dudes. And welcome back to another episode of Neptune Park. Thought it'd be nice to maybe start this episode without going straight into the time-lapse. You can kind of get a nice little view as we approach the subject for today's video. Not the tower, but there is a shot of the tower, which is pretty much the only reason anyone likes this park. Let's face it, the only reason I like it. But, you know, you guys, speaking of things we don't like about this park, you guys... I think people actually generally did like this ride, but you didn't pick up on the fact that I didn't really finish it. I mean, I thought I'd finished it at the time, but I was rushing, and then I look back and think, duh, it's so much work he's doing. First of all, there's no transfer track. There's no real, good fencing or backstage area for the ride, and I guess by the end of this episode, there still won't be, but it'll be better than what it is at the moment. So this video is just kind of be a lot of sort of focused on finishing this ride off, really. I was just going to put this at the start of, another video for Neptune Park, but then I realised that I had, over 10 minutes of footage just for this stuff, so I generally aim for 10 minutes for this series as the video length, so I thought, let's just call it that an episode there, and then we'll make... Otherwise, I feel like the episodes are going to get a bit cluttered in terms of... I like there being a focal point for each episode. So the focal point for this one is doing the stuff that I should have done in the last episode when I was rushing to get the video made because I was about to go away for Christmas, because I am back home now. I probably should have said that. I'm back at my PC so I can make videos once again. I have no more footage for Planet Coaster though, so I'm getting stressed about Planet Coaster. I may put the series on hiatus and just do Parkitect videos for a bit, because I can make those much more quickly than Planet Coaster, and much more easily, and then it gives me time to focus on making sort of higher quality Planet Coaster footage, I guess. I'm not really sure. I don't really know what I want to do with this series. I feel like it's reaching its natural end. The park's getting pretty full, and to be honest, I'm losing steam on Neptune Park. There's bits of it I really like, there's bits of it I don't like. I feel like I've learned a lot as a builder throughout this process, throughout this little journey that we've all been on. So I'm really ready to go for my next part. I feel like the quality of Mistletoe Peak was much, much higher than of Neptune Park. I guess it helped that park was much smaller in scale, so I could spend a lot more time on little details, whereas Neptune Park is so big and sprawling that it's hard to kind of get this nice detailed feel to it, but it's such a big space. I don't know. I think it's because I just watched the new Bro Coaster video today, the No Name Landia thing, and my parks are all awful compared to that. I got pretty depressed, guys. I'm not gonna lie. But it's water under the bridge. I'm a Kerbal channel. I've got that go for me. I don't really have much to add about what's going on. I hope you can kind of get it. I feel like I've talked about the process in designing transfer tracks ad nauseum at this point, having a little shed that somewhat resembles the architectural style of the station, then just fence off the supports, and we'll just build a sort of mock-up for a transfer rail. I still don't really know what transfer tracks are meant to look like. I kind of just wing it and make a mechanism that I think looks like it would work. So I'm pretty sure most of my transfer tracks aren't very realistic in the way they look, but I feel like, this ride itself is not meant to look realistic, because as I said in last week's commentary, that I wanted to just build something stupid and unrealistic under the premise that this is our space program designing it. A space program which, I might add, has built a hotel and casino on another celestial body for the sole purposes of funding a theme park's construction. That didn't stop some of you commenting about how it's unrealistic. One guy was saying it was crap and the whole thing needs rebuilding because it doesn't resemble a Mac launch coaster, even though this isn't supposed to be a Mac launched coaster, so I'm not really sure what your point was, Guy, if you're watching this. You. But yeah, some other guy actually wrote a comment as well. I can't remember his username, but I think it was Patrick something, suggested the name for this ride. See, one of the bonus points of making these commentaries as I make the footage, rather than just making loads and loads of footage at once and then doing loads of commentaries at once and just releasing the series each week, is that I can actually acknowledge some of the comments that I get. And some guy suggested a name for this video as Snowpiercer. I feel like this is now an awkward topic because I'm going to explain why I didn't choose that as the name. Basically, I liked the name Snowpiercer, maybe for an Arctic-themed coaster, maybe, but I feel like it doesn't really fit the style, the look and feel of this coaster, or its theming, because I guess it doesn't really have any theming as well, which is another problem in itself. Neptune Park on the whole is pretty generically themed. So, Snowpiercer, I considered the name. Thank you for the suggestion. I'm always grateful for suggestions I get, but on this occasion I decided not to go with Snowpiercer. I think I ended up calling it Ultimatum. Just generic name. I don't really think too much about naming coasters. I think it's more the architectural and ride experience spectacle that makes the ride. So this is the transfer track here. I made a catwalk just because the default catwalk put it just using the catwalk option on the ride editor, it put the catwalk on the right-hand side of the track rather than the left-hand side of the track, which meant that it would start like colliding with the bit that it's meant to join onto to get to the shed, if that makes sense. So I built my own with blackjack and hookers on this side, and then I realized it was actually clipping into the train, so I had to carefully offset it to make sure, the train wouldn't hit it. I realize now actually that the fences at either end of this catwalk are too close, so I'm gonna have to delete those. So when it comes to the POV, the fence will still be there at the end, not one end but the other end. You'll get it when you see it. Just know that I will now remove that fence when I finish recording this commentary. But yeah, ideas for like future parks. So I've already said that I will do a space park at some point, but right now my life is quite stressful. I know I this is like a recurring theme for this channel, that I always have some stress in my life, but I'm currently buying a house, which is well known to be one of the most stressful things one can do. So I'm giving it to myself this time that I really don't want to have to learn how to use Blender and import files into Planet Coaster, on top of everything else, on top of having to make Kerbal Space Program and Planet Coaster content as well. So I might defer Space Park for like the next series, but the series in between Neptune Park and Space Park, whatever it's going to be called, will be the same sort of size as Mistletoe Peak, so it won't be a very long break in between parks. And I want to go for some small, highly detailed park, ideally. The kind of thing with only like sort of 2 or 3 roller coasters, really. Maybe like a small hyper coaster. It wouldn't be a hyper coaster, obviously, but like, the Giga Coaster style thing. I don't actually know what it's called. The B&M Intamin, the one that's like, looks like Millennium Force, that kind of ride. I don't know what the ride is called in the game, but I guess everyone that knows, you guys will know what I'm talking about if you know what I'm talking about, and if you don't, you probably don't care either way. So yeah, like a little hypercoaster like that would be in the park. I don't even know why I was so bothered about making this point. It didn't go anywhere. That was it. One thing I wish, that door, I couldn't find we need more like generic doors that would look like in place in an industrial backstage sort of area, and not just like a rickety old wooden door or just a sci-fi door or something, just a normal generic door like the one I just put in, and maybe make that blue bit recolorable. I don't know. And then I decided to take a break from the coaster and just do this bit that these gaps needed filling in since episode 1 of this series. What we're on now, 30. So, better late than never. So there are these kind of ugly gaps between these paths, so I just thought I'd fill them in with a little bit of hedging. Yeah, that was that. That's that little plot development. We can get back to the main. I don't know why I suddenly felt the need to do that in the middle of doing this. Then I thought, this queue path looks a bit naff, so let's just try and make it look less awful. So I did a technique I did in Mistletoe Peak, but executed it far, far worse than I did in Mistletoe Peak. Again, because I think I was rushed, because I did this all, I've just finished making the footage now. So I think over the next week I'll just tidy up this bit. But for the sake of, for all intents and purposes, this is what it looks like, just this generic-y kind of castle wall for the path to sit on. I will tidy it up, but you can get I won't do that. I won't film that. I'll just do it, and you guys can just assume it basically looks like this, but just less bad. That's basically what it looks like. I hope. I haven't done it yet, obviously, but I think for what it's worth, it does it. It's a good sort of starting point, a good proof of concept to show you guys what I'm on about here with this wall supporting this pathway. This felt like this was a very needless tangent to go on, so I'll end it here. But there's the rest of it being constructed. I don't really know what's going to come next in the commentary, to be honest. I'm a bit all over the place right now. I'm trying to think of things to do. As soon as this starts rendering, I've got to start making a Kerbal video, and I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I don't know. I think I'm going to collaborate. I'm doing a collaboration with Everyday Astronaut. I hope that it wasn't supposed to be a secret collaboration, in which case I'm sorry, my dude. If you're watching this, which you're probably not, but if you are, oops. It was on Twitter. I think the Twitter reply. Anyway, this is getting a little bit bogged down. So here, I'm going to put a thing down. So it's like a grate, so that if people lose their phones and stuff out of the cars, it won't hit the guests. It'll hit this roof. A lot of theme parks have this sort of thing underneath tracks when the track goes over pathways. So I thought, I've never done it before, but we have to start at some point. Let's do it. So that was that little tangent. Then I thought I'd add some lockers here. Got a bit lazy, so I added some shelves instead. I mean, a lot of the theme parks I go to, it's very rarely actually lockers in the stations. It's just a bunch of shelves that you can just shove a backpack on and be done with it. So there you go. There's some shelves. That's already gone. A lot of sudden changes in topic. I'm going to speed up the rate at which the footage plays back actually now, because now we're just going to play some fences around the bits of the track to get a little bit too close to the ground for comfort, because this actual area in which the ride is built isn't actually closed off from guests. If they wanted to stray off the path and, you know, walk through the woods and stuff, they could make it to this part of the park without kind of being stopped by a fence. So thought just in the interest of safety, we'd fence it off. I did actually, in hindsight, forget about one of the bits of the track that goes close to the ground. So again, I will probably add a fence to that off screen, as in, you know, out of the recorded footage, and you guys can just assume that everything that's bad about this park is flawless. You know, that's a good assumption to make. And then one of the things I didn't like about this track actually was this little hump was a bit too aggressive. It's already gone, but I'm hoping you saw what I was on about just then. And as a consequence of that, the ride lost about 0.1 in terms of the excitement rating, which is fairly significant amount actually. It's like the more smooth and realistic you made the rides, the lower the rating system. I've said before, I feel like the rating system in this game is unfair. Like it scores, like if your lift hill is really big and slow, then it lowers the excitement rating, even though lift hills are an essential part of a roller coaster. It shouldn't start measuring the excitement rating until the car is like clear of the lift hill. And same thing for like if there's a brake section near the end in order for it to get to the station again. It counts the station travel time and the time spent traveling along the block breaks as part of the overall excitement rating, which again I think is unfair because it's a necessary and realistic aspect to a roller coaster. So come on, Frontier, fix it. Frontier, to their credit, are fixing things. They have tried fixing the advanced move tool in this game, and I don't really get it. It's like I guess it's kind of a change. It's very weird now when you try and use the advanced move tool in this game. Like the y-axis, for example, is no longer just up and down exclusively. Sometimes it can be off at these crazy angles. And like shift, you hold down shift now to select multiple scenery parts rather than control, and then to deselect scenery parts you press control. It's weird. They've just changed all the controls and I can't really understand why. And there we go. That's pretty much the end of this commentary, to be honest. I thought I'd end it with another POV of this ride just so you can see the finished product. So I'll stop talking now and I'll see you guys after it's done. And there we go, that was the POV. In fact, speaking of the POV, a couple of people mentioned or thumbed up the same comment, I can't remember now, about there's a couple of like head chopper and arm chopper moments in this ride in terms of the car gets very close to the track supports. None of the track supports are actually like custom built by me though, so they were placed by the game, so I'm assuming they're a safe distance from the riders. Anyway, there's some links on screen to the full playlist and a video chosen for you by YouTube's algorithm. Twitter, Instagram, Discord are in the description, and on screen there's a link to subscribe and my Patreon. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed the rest of your Wednesday, and I'll see you later.